add task screen? Well, it's not just going to add a task, it's also going to be helpful for modifying, especially the priority grid widget, which kind of is giving a grid of 1, 2, 3, 4 priorities in which you can align your task. It's going to be important how we can use one particular screen with two functionalities. Hence, I want your attention to be on a very close note on this particular session, wherein how the entire modification in the to-do manager, that too will be done in a smooth manner, will be explained. In fact, once the modification is over, we'll route the user back to display task screen and he will be able to get the modification or the updated task into the screen. In this way, we'll have almost our entire app to get completed. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the session. So tune in. Let's dive into the session wherein I'm going to show to you how we can do the task for modifying. So here we are on our Android app and we'll be having over here, let's see, our task A, B, C, D, E. As you would remember, as you would slide to the right side, you're going to hit upon an icon for edit. So let me just take this edit icon, following which at the bottom part of the edit there would be a text highlighting edit. Now let me just group this and keep it here. Let's see, when you tap on this, if you would remember, we did something called as void callback. That's over here on my task item widget on task edit. So what I'll try and do, when you click on this edit icon, it will notify my parent, that is the display task screen, that one particular task has to be edited. What I'll now do is, in the task item widget where we have our edit icon, that's over here, I'll take on task edit dot call. So what is this? This now will send the callback over here, wherein I'm going to do navigator dot push and this time we will be having our material page route to move to the add task screen. And if you would remember, we had is task been edited. I'll set this to true. And if you would further remember, there was something called as old task name. But in our case, we have been doing the entire NoSQL part with the help of our to-do model, wherein this kind of gives the entire schema for our table. What I'll next do is, over here, instead of the old task name, this being a string, I'm going to change this to to-do model and old task model. Next, this constructor parameter accordingly changes to old task model. Now what I'm going to try and do, let's see, once you click on this edit, a new screen will fire up, basically the add task screen. So over here, the first item which we have is basically our task description. Now this task description field will pre-fill with A, B, C, D, E, which is my current task, followed by over here we have our grid for priority, this again shall be pre-selected depending upon, let's say if this task had a priority 1, then over here out of the 4 items in the grid, 1 shall be highlighted. And lastly, there is another text field in which we can set the duration and have my button to modify the task. Let me just annotate and have this caption as modify task. So basically what I intend to do is pre-filling. Well, that could be easy. That's because I have my display task screen which says yes, this task is going to get edited. Also, in the old task model, I'm going to press, or in fact I'm going to pass the current to do model which shall be getting updated. So I hopefully believe that you have clearly understood is task been edited as well as the old task model. Now first let me try pre-filling my task controller. What I'll try and do, old task model dot task description. Now let's do a run and I'll wait until my APK gets created. So here we are with the APK getting created, and I'll switch to my device. Well, it shows this ABCDE. Now what I'll try and do, just slide it over and click on edit. Well, the initial task went well. I can see that the ABCDE has got pre-filled into my task description. Same way, I'm going to try and do for this priority item grid as well as the pick time. In order to do the pick time, it's relatively simple because I have my time controller. Let me do Control D on this, change this to time controller, and I'll set the duration. Let's say if any case it would be null, it's going to show invalid duration. Now with this, I'm absolutely confident that yes, the time controller will have the duration. But what would be the case for this priority grid widget? That's because over here, if I would show you the code, we don't have any functionality via which I can say that this should be the value that should be pre-selected. For example, if I go back, this is having a priority 1, but when I go to the task screen, over here 1 should be highlighted, but I have never established a functionality. Hence, what I'll try and do, I'm going to create an integer priority pre-selected value. Following which I'm going to put this in the constructor. Now over here I would want you to put attention over 1, 2, 3 and 4. So basically we have a priority 1, 2, 3, 4, but our index would start from 0, 1, 2, 3. What index? The grid item index. Hence, look over here, how do I solve this small problem? We already know with the life cycle that this is the init state. So what I'm going to try and do, if the widget dot priority pre-selected value is not null and pre-selected value is not equal to -1. So what I'll try and do, I will set up the selected card equal to widget dot pre-selected value. So with this, what I would have as a benefit is the value, or on the grid I will have a pre-selected value. Now let's go to the add task screen. With this, my old task model should surely have the priority value. Let's say in any case it is null, I'll send it to be -1. In this case, let me try to run my app and see if I get the priority pre-selected as working. I'll wait until the hot restart finishes. I'm going to click on edit. Did you notice I selected priority to be 1, but the highlighted widget is 2. Let me run my app and show it to you once again. Look over here, the priority is 1. When I try to do edit, it switches to 2. Well, that's because according to the convention that we established, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the priority we assign. But index starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. Hence, I will have to do a -1 here and try to see if this could make some difference. I'm going to click on edit and the error is fixed. So what we're going to try and do is now put this thing up as modify task on my button caption. So let's say where we have this add task, if we have is task been edited, then the caption should show modified task, else it is going to show add task. Now this goes without saying that for modification to happen, we also have to pay attention to our to-do manager. So what do we have? Initialization, insert, that is we are creating the database here, inserting the data here, we are trying to read from here, but where is the update? In CRUD, the update part is remaining. Hence, let me just write update task, and this time it's going to take 2 parameters, task ID and to-do model for updated task. Because it's a future function, I added a word async. Next, what I'll try and do, if my ISAR is going to be having a null instance, then I would reinitialize it. Next, what I'm going to try and do is ISAR dot write transaction. Now, do you remember this write transaction which we are trying to do over insert, that is over here? Now what I'll try and do, first I will try to get the saved task model. And how do I get that? from my ISR in my to-do models, I'll just try and do get, and over here I'll put the task ID. Let me remove this question mark. Yeah. So this is the task which was saved previously. Hence, on this saved task model, I will update the priority value. Next, I'll update the duration. And lastly, I will update the task description. But hey, do you see all these red lines showing up? That's because this save task model can be null. Hence, I'll try to put a not null check, and if it is not null, only then I'll update the values. Next, what I'll try and do, on my ISR, I'll try to put oh, I forgot to put a question mark here. And then here's my saved task model. So what you would notice is I'm not touching the primary key, but instead all the other values I'm trying to modify. And hence what I'll try and do is over here, the row ID which I would be getting if the row ID not equal to null, then for my own testing purpose, I'm going to keep a check row ID received in updating, following which I'll put the task ID received in updating. So basically the row number as well as the task ID, they should perfectly match. Let me try using this update task function and check whether this update is working well or not. Hence, what I'll try and do, I'm going to uncomment this if condition and comment out this provider. But hey, I'll require this. Oh, I have it over here. Let me cut this, paste it over here and over here also. That's because if the task has to be edited, then I'll try and do update. But if this is the same task, then can I write a bit more optimized code? That's because the task to save still remains same. Over here, in the case of insert, I'll call the function insert a task. In case of update, I'm going to call update task. But when it comes to update task, it has got two parameters, and I'll put update task which requires a task ID. If it is null, I'll put it as -1, and over here I'll just change this to task to save. Now let's try and see if this thing works or not. So what I'll try and do is run the app from the very beginning and show to you how we can fix this. So I'll say over here edit, I'll put A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I'll set the priority to 4 and set just any random time as 115. What I notice is now the button caption showing as modify task Now when I click on modify, this switched to 4. Time of the day also switched to 1:15. But hey, there's a bug. This should have been A B C D E F G, but this particular task description did not get updated. Well, let's try to understand this bug and try to fix into our next session. The bug for not having the initialization to be done for my task kind of irritating. Well, I'm going to make sure that in the next session we resolve it. In fact, we'll be giving finishing touches to our app, wherein if the app is uninstalled and then reinstalled, I should not have a user staring at a blank screen when he is installing the app for the first time. How to do UX changes or user experience changes is going to be taught in the next session. So stay tuned and keep learning with Hoping Minds.